Okay, let's try a little visualization exercise. Picture this. It is 2026. The entire concept, the very definition of going to work, has just completely shifted gears. It is not about providing a desk and a chair anymore. Your workspace.
Yeah.
It's become a massive, critical lever in your actual growth strategy.
It really has.
It's basically part of your company's DNA now.
It stopped being just a utility bill or, a boring line item on a spreadsheet that you try to minimize.
Yeah.
In this landscape, your physical environment is an active participant.
Right.
It is either propelling your business forward or it is quietly holding it back.
And that brings us to the core tension we are unpacking today. It's that terrifying, exciting, confusing moment every growing business eventually smacks into.
Yeah.
How do you know when it is time to graduate? When do you move from the coffee shop or that flexible co-working membership into a private suite?
And then the big one.
Yeah.
And then the really big, scary question. When do you actually sign that multi-year lease for your own headquarters?
Yeah.
It is a remarkably high-stakes decision. I mean, if you get it right, you unlock productivity and culture you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
But if you get it wrong,
Ooh.
you are bleeding cash on empty desks, or, on the flip side, you are stifling your team in a shoebox because you were too conservative.
So to help you navigate this minefield without, blowing up your budget, we are doing a deep dive into some fantastic insights from Brand Nook, an Indianapolis-based co-working provider, and Allies Commercial Realty.
A great combo.
So we have got the flexible perspective and the heavy-hitting commercial real estate perspective in the mix.
Which is the perfect combination. Because the mission today is to really map out that specific growth path. We want to identify the signals, the flashing red lights that tell you it is time to move.
And the hidden math.
And we are going to look at the hidden math behind office leasing that nobody tells you about until you have already signed the contract.
I love the strategy behind this. It feels like a game of chess, but the pieces are like desks and lease terms. So let's start at the beginning. The launchpad. We are talking about the era of co-working.
It really is an era. I mean, if we look at the landscape in 2026, the scale is just staggering. We are talking about over 42,000 co-working locations worldwide.
That is a massive number. It feels like they are everywhere now.
They are, and it represents a market value of nearly $30 billion. So this is not a niche trend for freelancers anymore. It is a global infrastructure layer for business.
So why is this the default? Why is almost every startup starting here rather than, finding a cheap basement office somewhere?
Well, the primary driver is obviously flexibility. When you are in those early stages, launching a startup, you just cannot have the burden of a long-term lease.
No way.
You do not want to be thinking about a 5-year commitment when you do not even know what your revenue stream will look like in 5 months.
Right. You want to burn capital on product development and marketing, not a security deposit for a building.
Precisely. It keeps your overhead incredibly lean. But beyond the money, it is about speed.
Speed to market.
Exactly. These spaces offer fully built-out infrastructure. You walk in, the Wi-Fi is enterprise grade, the front desk is staffed, the coffee is brewing.
That's all there.
You can focus entirely on growth initiatives rather than worrying about buying furniture or setting up utility accounts.
That is a great point. It is plug and play for businesses. I think we forget how much time goes into just setting up an office, buying printers, setting up internet contracts. It's a distraction.
It's a massive distraction. And the sources mention this is not just for local startups anymore. It has become a strategic tool for established companies, too.
Specifically for remote teams, right?
And for geographic expansion.
Oh, that's a fascinating shift.
Exactly. Let's say you are a company based in New York, but you want to test the market in, say, Indianapolis or Austin. You don't go and build an office there immediately.
No, of course not.
You grab a co-working membership. It lets you anchor operations or test new markets with virtually zero risk. If the market doesn't work out, you cancel the membership. No harm, no foul.
There is also something mentioned in the Brand Nook material that I think gets overlooked because it sounds a bit fluffy, but they insist it is crucial. The hidden benefit of community.
Right.
Is that just marketing speak for, we have a water cooler?
I used to think so, but the data suggests otherwise. This is often the intangible value that surprises people. It is not just a space, it is a network. You're physically close to other entrepreneurs, freelancers.
So you might be grabbing coffee and end up chatting with a graphic designer you end up hiring or a potential investor.
Exactly. And it is structured, too. These spaces often host Fundraising events, workshops, mentorship initiatives. In uncertain economic times, having that support system can actually build business resilience.
Okay, that makes sense. You're not isolated in a garage somewhere.
Exactly. You are surrounded by
Ugh.
people solving similar problems.
However, we have to be real. There is a limit. I have worked in these spaces, and at some point, the open floor plan stops being collaborative and starts being,
Annoying.
yeah, annoying.
That is the eventual downside, and it is usually the first signal that you are outgrowing the launchpad phase. As you scale, the open layout begins to limit focus. You start having privacy concerns.
Right, you're discussing sensitive client data or IP.
And you do not want the team at the next table to hear it. And beyond that, it's hard to build a unique company culture when you are swimming in a sea of other companies' logos and laptops.
You hit a ceiling on cultural cohesion. And honestly, just the noise. If your sales team is on the phone all day,
The other tenants are going to hate you, and your team is going to be distracted.
so you hit that wall. You're too big for the hot desk, but maybe too small or too scared for the big building downtown. Enter the strategic middle ground.
The private office suite.
The bridge.
This is the bridge. And honestly, it is a very sturdy bridge for a lot of companies. The data shows that private suites have captured approximately 44.6% of the co-working market.
Wow. Wait, so nearly half the co-working market is actually people in private offices, not just hanging out on beanbags.
Correct. It is a massive segment because it offers the best of both worlds. You get the enclosed space, so you have that confidentiality, that focus, a door you can physically close.
But you still have access to all the shared stuff.
Exactly, the shared amenities. You are not paying for a receptionist or cleaning staff or a massive conference room you only use once a month.
It's all still shared.
You keep the operational overhead low.
Yeah.
But the biggest perk here, and this is critical for anyone managing the books, is cost predictability.
Oh, I love predictability. I hate surprise bills.
Who doesn't? In a private suite, the pricing is usually all-inclusive. One flat rate. That covers utilities, IT, cleaning, coffee. No surprise bills in the winter because the heating went up.
That's huge for a growing company trying to manage a tight budget.
It's gold.
And you can still keep it flexible, right? You're not signing your life away for 5 years yet.
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
You are looking at month-to-month or maybe 6 to 12-month agreements. It allows you to plan, but without being locked in.
Plus, the source mentions light branding. You can put your logo on the door. You can start to define your own internal culture a bit more.
It creates a sense of us. It lets the team feel like they have a home. It's a natural next step.
Okay, but then comes the day the private suite feels small, the day you want to paint the walls neon green and nobody will let you.
Or you need a server room that requires special cooling.
Exactly. We are talking about the big leap, the traditional office lease.
This is the major shift. You are moving from flexibility to control and stability.
And commitment. We're talking, what, 3 to 5 years usually?
Typically, yes. 3 to 5 years is the standard commercial lease term. And that can feel like an eternity to a startup.
Yeah.
So you have to be absolutely sure.
So how do you know? What is the tell and what are the signals that say, okay, stop renting, it is time to sign?
There are a few very specific indicators. First, just depth limitations. If your team is consistently exceeding the suite capacity, like you are bringing in folding chairs.
Or fighting the daily war for meeting rooms.
Oh, the meeting room wars. I have been there, hovering outside the glass door. It is not productive.
Kills momentum.
Completely. Second, customization needs. Do you need secure server rooms? A specific lab layout? A podcast studio? If the co-working shell can't provide it, you need your own lease.
And I imagine external pressure plays a role too.
Huge role. Strategic milestones matter. If you are engaging with institutional clients, big banks, government contracts, or raising capital, investors and clients like to see a headquarters.
Why is that? Why does an investor care if I rent or lease?
It signals maturity. It signals that you are not going to disappear next month. It says, we are planting a flag. It's a trust signal.
It makes you look like a real company in their eyes.
Precisely. And finally, the financials. You need consistent revenue and cash flow visibility. You are moving from speculative spending to strategic spending.
But let me play devil's advocate. Why bother with the headache? Why take on the risk of the lease, the maintenance, the utilities? What is the actual ROI?
It is a fair question because it is a headache. But the data provides a compelling answer. First, talent retention. Personalized workspaces can drive retention gains of 15–20%.
That is significant. Hiring is expensive. If you keep your best people because they like coming to work, that could pay for the lease right there.
It does. Then there is brand identity. Complete control over the client experience. And financially, there are incentives. Landlords often provide tenant improvement allowances, or TI.
Okay, let's unpack TI. I hear this term thrown around, but what is it actually? Is it just a discount?
Not exactly. TI is cash provided by the landlords, specifically to renovate the space. Basically, the landlord might cover, say, 20–30% of the base rent value to help you customize the space.
To build walls, put in flooring, upgrade lighting.
All of that. It is a way to offset that initial capital expenditure of making the space yours.
So they are subsidizing your renovation because they want you locked in for 5 years.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier to entry.
Okay, so you have convinced me. We are growing, we are cramped, we want the TI money, we are ready. But this feels like swimming with sharks. How do we navigate this without getting eaten?
Preparation is everything. Do not wing this.
So, step 1, the math. How much space do we need?
The general rule of thumb is 150 to 200 square feet per person. But here is the catch, and this is where everyone messes up. Do not calculate for the team you have today.
Right, because if I sign a 5-year lease for the 20 people I have now and we grow,
You are in trouble. You will be cramming people into corners, or, worse, moving again in 18 months, and breaking a lease is incredibly expensive.
so you're leasing space for your future self.
Your future self. You have to factor in your 3 to 5 year growth forecasts. And please do not DIY this process. You need a team, an experienced broker, and legal counsel.
I think people try to save money by skipping the broker. They think, I can look at listings online.
It is a massive mistake. First, the landlord usually pays the broker fee, so you are not saving anything. But more importantly, a broker knows the total occupancy costs.
Which is more than just rent.
Much more. If you just look at the rent per square foot, you are missing like 30% of the cost. You have CAM fees.
CAM fees, break that down for me.
Common area maintenance. You are paying a share of the cost to plow the parking lot, light the hallways, pay the janitor for the lobby.
The snowplow guy doesn't work for free.
He does not. Then you have utilities, parking fees, insurance. A broker helps you see the full price tag, not just the sticker price.
So you have got your team, you have done the math, now you are on the tour. What are we looking for beyond does it look cool?
Look past the aesthetics. Verify the infrastructure. Check natural light. Check noise levels. Is the HVAC barely hanging on? Is the internet infrastructure ancient?
You do not want to move in and realize the AC dies every time it hits 80 degrees.
Total morale killer. And check the building class and the other tenants. If you are a high-end creative agency, do you want to be in a building full of medical billing centers? It sets a vibe.
Okay, so we find the spot, good light, the AC works. Now we enter the negotiation, the art of the deal. What are the absolute must-haves?
You want to negotiate expansion rights, often called a right of first refusal. If the office next door opens up, the landlord has to offer it to you first.
That is smart. It gives you options.
You also want renewal clauses, so they cannot just kick you out or triple the rent. And crucially, perhaps most importantly, you need sublease permissions.
Why is the sublease permission so important?
Because the future is unpredictable. Maybe you grow way too fast and need to leave early. Or maybe the market crashes and you need to downsize. If you have the right to sublease, you can find someone else to take your space and pay your rent.
That is your escape hatch.
It is. Without it, you are on the hook for every penny of the remaining lease term, even if the office is empty. That can bankrupt a company.
That is terrifying. So sublease clause is non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. You should also push for rent abatement, maybe a few free months at the start, and caps on those operating expenses, the CAM fees.
And then finally, execution. The lease is signed.
We'll pause. Before it is signed, have a lawyer review it, specifically for maintenance responsibilities and default provisions. Know exactly what happens if the plumbing breaks.
Good call. Never assume. Then comes the fun part, the build-out.
Turning the shell into a workplace. Coordinating architects, IT, contractors. This is where that TI allowance gets spent.
And finally, the move-in. I feel like this is where culture can break.
It is. The key here is phased onboarding. Do not just dump everyone into the new office on Monday morning at 8 a.m.
That sounds like chaos. Where is my desk? Why doesn't the printer work?
Exactly. Maintain operational momentum. Get the IT tested first. Get leadership in, then the teams. Communicate clearly. The first day should feel like a celebration, not a disaster recovery drill.
It really is a journey. We have gone from the launchpad of co-working, across the bridge of private suites, all the way to the destination of a traditional lease.
And that journey reflects the maturity of the business. Real estate is about matching your physical environment to your business maturity.
It is fascinating how the space evolves with the strategy. In the beginning, you need speed and community.
In the middle, you need focus and predictability.
And at the end, you need control and brand identity.
That is the perfect summary.
Yeah.
And minimizing the friction between those stages, knowing exactly when to jump, is the key.
So here is the final thought we want to leave you with today. We have talked about all the logistics, the math, the square footage, but take a look around where you are sitting right now.
Ask yourself this simple question. If your workspace is meant to facilitate growth, is your current office acting as a gas pedal, or is it acting as a brake?
That is the question. If you are fighting for a meeting room, it might be a brake. If you are lonely and disconnected in a home office, it might be a brake.
But if the space works, you do not even notice it. You just go fast.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The best real estate is the kind you do not have to think about because it is doing its job. Thanks for diving in with us today. Check your lease terms, count your square footage, and keep growing.
Until next time.